All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Back with another Q&A. I feel like I don't feel like I have missed a lot of live streams, and it was one of those things that I think needed a little bit of a break from the routine. I've been actually, if you go back on my channel, look at my live streams. I have been doing live streams since I believe 2019, almost every single week. And one of the things I always wanted to do was like go live every single week. And I did. And I used to do all my homework, all the revisions and everything. And then once I had kids, it became, difficult. I used to do 9 a.m. because I was always having kids. And so that'd be the time they could go to bed. And then that was always difficult because when I was live stream late at night, I would just get tired and I'd think about the live stream all day. And then the last couple of years, I've been trying to go early, and it's just been difficult because right now my kids are like relaxing. They're waiting for me to eat dinner. And so it's just been really difficult. So that's why I've kind of slowed down on the live streams, but it is one thing that I just don't feel the same person unless I'm able to get questions and answer questions from you guys and do some math problems. So that is exactly why I wanted to get back live here to answer your guys' questions. So if you do have any questions, anything about math, I know exam season is upon us, the end of the year, we're coming up on summer. So if you have any math questions, feel free to, or any questions about math or school, feel free to put them down in the chat. And if you have any math questions, actually math problems, they go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. I have a huge backlog. Some of these I'm going to make into videos. A lot of them I'm going to prepare on the live stream. I want to go over some math problems today. So if you have some questions, shoot them at brianmclogan.com/Q&A, and I will try to do my best to get to them. So let's see. Hey, let's open that back up, make that a little bit bigger. Hey, Evan, good to have you on. Exemplar, TCS Linell 20. Gavin, hey, I just want to let you know that you're the only reason I passed my college calculus classes. Awesome. Well, you are very welcome. So happy to be able to help you out. You can ask a math question in the chat. It's difficult to like type in the math and, for else. So like the reason why I like brianmclogan.com/Q&A is not so much because you have to add into your email address. You can obviously, I don't send out any, emails or anything like that. But the thing with that you can be able to take a picture, you can do a lot of chat or add on a lot more context. And that's usually what I'm asking when you guys are doing math questions. A lot of times people just say, oh, do this math problem. And I'm like, I need to understand a little bit more before I can just like sometimes just do the math problem to make sure I'm helping you exactly the way you need. Thoughts on integrated to math piecewise applications? I'm not really sure about the piecewise. I mean, there's obviously a lot of real world applications with piecewise functions, but I'm not sure directly what you mean with integrated. So if you have a question, you have a math specific question, then feel free to add it into brianmclogan.com. Hey, Hamad, good to have you on. Well, there's a formula for the standard deviation, but I'm not sure what else you are referring to from that. Are you retired? Yes, I am retired, I guess, formally from the public education sector. So I did teach for 14 years inside the classroom. I stepped away to focus on my YouTube channel and also to, I have a bigger need to make a bigger impact on education at whole. So that is my current focus. Well, awesome. So happy to hear you guys from Zambia. I love that. I barely got an A in pre-calc and I won't need calculus for my career, but should I take it anyways? I'm a little wary. That's a good question because I have a lot of value that from you taking calculus that I think you can be able to get. A lot of value. However, not everybody needs to take calculus. And I think it just kind of depends on the calculus course that you're taking. There are a lot more like calculus courses that are going to be geared to, those going, there'll be a much more advanced teaching of the calculus. And, that's just not like I don't think that's just not as necessary for so many students. I am a big proponent of math education and for people taking and challenging themselves with calculus. But I guess if it feels like it's going to be something that is going to be taking you away from your other courses and too much of a struggle for you, it might not be the best solution for you. I would just do a little research on the calculus course that you are taking, how, demanding that is going to be. If it is more of a general calculus class or a business calculus or something where, it's not just geared towards the advanced calculus students going on to, more mathematical degrees, then I think it would be something that might be worth it. But speak with your parents, speak with your teacher, speak with, your counselor, and just make sure it's the right fit for you. Let's go from there. I know, Evan. Thank you so much. I feel really much more in a better mood now that I have gone back live. Well, hey, America. It is going very, very well. Well, awesome. So happy to see you on here. Well, thank you, Nelson. Appreciate that. Hello, North Korea. Do we even get North Korea on here? That's awesome. North Korea, I love these math videos. Help me through every class. Keep it up. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any types of permutation combination? Yeah, I'm assuming maybe like doing the word problems. That's, sometimes determining if order matters or not. I think that's really the main question. A lot of times dealing with word problems that you need to ask yourself or think about. But, I think when you, like, I haven't done those problems in years, even in teaching it. And so I think it just comes down with like doing the practice and getting prepared with it, that you will feel more comfortable doing those problems. It says, I got a college entrance exam and includes all the high school topics. There are way too many math formulas. What is the best way to memorize the formulas, specifically trig identities? So I was never a big proponent of memorizing formulas with my students. I always gave them like a cheat sheet that they could use. However, I also told them, like, you don't even need the cheat sheets. In reality, like, if you practice using and applying these formulas over and over, you're going to have them like memorized into that T. So my best advice for you is like maybe create a cheat sheet, even though your teacher's not going to allow you to use them, but practice rewriting the formulas over and over. But more importantly, practice applying using those formulas, because I think the more and more you practice applying them, the more just kind of ingrained it becomes with you. And you don't have to like worry about, oh crap, am I going to like memorize this or remember this or not at time of the test? So I think just practice is really going to be your best thing to help you make sure that you can remember what you need for your test. Well, happy to help, Mike. Appreciate that. All right, a question. My friend took advanced calculus and I took calculus. Is there a difference in the difference? Is there a difference in difficulty in two? So it's hard for me to answer that question based on not knowing actually the course and the syllabus looking in there, but typically calculus, there are usually sometimes in universities or in high schools, there's going to be different tracks for calculus. And it'd just be like, a pre-calculus. You might have a standard pre-calculus and an honors pre-calculus. I remember when I was taking calculus when I was at university, I was taking the calculus for the math majors. So there was some really, really, really smart people in my course that sometimes, already took it in high school and, just had to like get the college credit for it. But they were going on to mathematical tracks. Like that's the reason why they were taking it. And there were other calculus, like a business calculus. There was I think like an aviation calculus course that some of my friends that were pilots, they had to take. And it just wasn't as demanding as my calculus class. I remember like they were worried about it. And then they're like, oh, you're going to help me. You're going to tutor me when, I get to this. I was like, yeah, sure. Like I took it the semester before. And I remember like the work that they're doing. I'm like, do you guys need help? They're like, no, it's like, very, very, very basic stuff that they're doing from calculus. So yes, there definitely could be. I just don't know for sure in your circumstance, but a lot of times based on what the needs are for the students of getting the credit for a certain course, there will be a different track of difficulty. No, unfortunately it's been way too long since I went through on the calculus for me to remember some kind of tips for you. So sorry about that. I need to get back onto that. Tomorrow's my math paper. Give me some motivation. Well, I think at this point, there's nothing I can say or give to you that is going to make a difference, right? So you spent your whole year preparing basically a lot for this moment, and you've done all the studying, you've done all the work that you need to do. And tomorrow is just, your time to shine, right? I think the main important thing you need to understand is there's not going to ever be a test that is ever going to define who you are, what you're capable of, or what you understand. So you know what? Get a good night's rest and do the absolute best that you can do. No matter what you score, really well or really low, you always have opportunities down the line. So simply just do the best. If you get frustrated, you get stressed, or if there's a time when you're starting to feel overwhelmed, close your eyes, control your breathing, and take a break. Then get right back into it. But I think the most important thing is you've prepared for this time. It's time to go and do it and get it done, because then you don't have to take that course or this paper anymore, and do the best you can possibly do and then move forward from there. So hopefully that was a little bit of motivation and be like, you know what, do some last minute studying, put in that last little effort, but best of luck. You got this. I'm not sure if you mind going over how to solve this. Oh yeah. I would just need to go ahead and take a look at it. I'm looking for mine here. You're going to want to factor out the 5x. So I'll be able to see maybe if I have some time back up from there. But yeah, you're going to want to factor out a 5x, 5 to x, because then that would be a 5 squared. Yeah, 5 raised to the x. 5 to the 2x minus 4 times 5 to the x equals 12. I don't want to stop my live stream, but I might. If you submit it to McLogan.com, I will definitely make sure I add it to it. I can take a copy and put it on there, but we'll see. And no, I am not familiar with Norman J. Oh yeah, I am. He has a YouTube channel, right? I believe I watched some of his videos, but I'm going to double check. And his critics of modern mathematics, is he or to be taken, or is it nonsense? You know what? I'll have to go and look at it. If you want to give me maybe a synopsis of what he has said in some videos, or maybe his position, I'll be more than happy to kind of react to that in the chat. All right. Did you develop any better ways to remember the unit circle? Well, I mean, I don't know if I have any better ways. I mean, I just remember the first quadrant. You have to know the first quadrant. You have to know those angles. You have to know those points in the first quadrant and make sure you know that, right? You can do the hand trick or whatever else, but know the first quadrant. Then once you know the first quadrant, everything is just symmetry, right? It's just reflections about the X and the Y axis. So once you know that first quadrant, you want to make sure you understand your reference angles. And as long as you know your reference angles and the signs of each quadrant, it doesn't take much practice to be able to evaluate, to be able to find any point on the unit circle. And I do have a couple of videos on memorizing the unit circle for you that hopefully is a little bit more in depth for what I just said. That will be helpful for you. How do you do inverse trig functions? Well, I need a little bit more context. So if you have a specific question, go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Please, any advice for people who have problems concentrating for long periods of time? You mean like myself? I was a horrible math student for the reason of I couldn't really pay attention in math class. One thing I always did, and anytime that I'm in a conference or anything else where I have to sit, I always just constantly draw. I have to be doing something with my body. So a lot of times I'll just doodle and stuff like that, still be listening, but paying attention from there. I think that is kind of helpful, giving yourself, even if it's a fidget toy or something to doodle, something to kind of keep your brain a little stimulated, I think helpful. And I think the most important thing too is take breaks. Your brain just cannot retain focus for long periods of time. So make sure you have time where you can step away and take breaks, right? And go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, do something more exciting, and then go back to the studying, the grunt of your work. Okay. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. Any chance you have tips for the section on conics, such as using the given equation to graph the points? I mean, the main thing I always tell them, if you watch any of my videos on conics, when you're given information, is plot the information, right? If you're given the foci, plot them on the graph. You're given the center, plot it, right? You're given the major vertices, the minor vertices, draw those pictures, or draw it on a graph, because a lot of times you can use that information to be able to identify different parts of the conic section as well as you're going to understand the orientation. So therefore you can understand which formula you're going to use and what information you need to be able to find. So it's kind of like a step-by-step process working in from there, but definitely plot the information. I think that's the most important thing that, that can help you out. Who is this? Yeah, I wanted to see. Oh, okay, prayer. Best tips for studying and retaining concepts. I think the main thing is like you got to apply the stuff, right? You just can't do things and then put it off and then forget about it. You have to apply it. You have to, you know, you put to practice into work multiple things. So just like anything, any other muscle, like you have to be able to do the practice. That's why I'm a big proponent of actually doing homework, not just busy work, but doing homework. You have to be able to apply the information, applying the problems. And then I also think it's really important to spiral review, right? Just because you did chapter 2 in September, like, and if you've never done chapter 2 concepts until now, when you're reviewing for your test, you've probably forgotten a lot of the work. You should always be spiral reviewing that information, keeping it fresh in your brain. So I think doing the work, right? Making sure you are applying the information you're learning. And then also make sure that you are not just forgetting about it, not just like, oh, we already took a test on it, I'm done with it. Like consistently be going back over your work, redoing some of the problems to keep that stuff fresh. And keep that stuff fresh in your brain and ready for you to be able to apply it to anything else you might be learning. You are very welcome. You skipped my question. All right, I'll go ahead and take a look at it. How do you explain to me find the residuals from my, oh, okay. Can you explain to me how to find residuals from my graph, please? I would need a little bit more information on what you, like a graph, what you're looking for from on there. Another question, please. Sure, of course. Before you loved your career math, have you ever had another passion you wanted to pursue? Yeah. So this is kind of a weird one. If people always ask me, like, if you could have been anything else, like, what would you have done? And there's 2 occupations I would have done. The first occupation I would have done would probably been like construction worker. So every summer, every winter break, every spring break, I always work construction. So we did like heavy equipment, like bulldozers and excavators. I love doing it. And I still love doing that type of work. And so, you know, even when I became a teacher, like I actually took a pay cut to become a teacher. Like I was making decent money being an operator with a construction company. So I really enjoyed that work and I still do. So that would have been one career path. That would have been the non-educational path. The other educational path that I might have considered or career that would have required education would have been an architect. I don't know why. I just love design. I'm not very good at design at all, but I love design and like CAD. I took like some engineering courses when I was in high school and I just loved like creating things on my computer and like, you know, doing the plans of a house and a school and all that kind of stuff. Like it's always just intrigued me. So I never pursued it, you know, because I ended up going into math, but I kind of get my itch with construction with, you know, doing real estate on the side and, you know, working around my house. But I've never really been able to scratch that itch with the architect stuff. You know, a lot of times I doodle and stuff like that. And that sometimes is what I enjoy doing. But I really kind of always wonder what would my life have been if I would have chose being an architect or if I would have chose, you know, going the construction route over being a math teacher. Um, Are you good at trigonometry? It all depends on what you reference as good from on there. So I would say with the basic stuff from what I had to teach, you know, started to become much more natural and much more had a better understanding of it. Um, you know, from maybe like the average student that is just entering in trigonometry, but I'm by no means an expert in all things trigonometry. Just like anything else, just like anything else, do the work, ask questions, and do work, ask questions. That's basically about it. But yeah, you know, I mean, every course, guys, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, but just make sure that you keep all your work, keep on reviewing the concepts, you know, and if, you know, if you're having trouble, like speak with your teacher, talk with them, and make sure that you have a study group or a study partner that you can do your work with. So, I think those are just kind of the most important things, no matter what class you're taking. Um, yeah, I think just trigonometry, you need to understand the basics of trigonometry. You need to understand the trigonometric functions, sine, cosine, tangent, and then the other ones. And I think as long as you have a foundational understanding of those functions, then things can grow. And I think sometimes the difficulty with trigonometry is students don't really understand a lot of the basics, even the right triangle stuff. And then they start getting into more and more advanced stuff and they're not able to make those connections. So, just like with any class, make sure you know the fundamentals, and then it makes the whole rest of the course or the material a lot easier to understand. If I enter university, do I have to know calculus basics because I'm entering and I haven't taken any calculus? Can I start it in college or will it be too much? Be too late? I would speak with your teacher, your parents, and your counselor. If you have not taken a calculus class, I would not recommend probably taking it first in college. That's just a general recommendation, not a recommendation for everybody, because everybody's going to be different. Every university is going to have different calculus courses, but I would probably recommend at least going into a pre-calculus probably first, getting kind of used to the calculus and making sure that you're being taught what you need to know from that pre-calculus to be prepared for the university calculus. But that's, again, a general opinion. I would talk to your parent, counselor, and teacher to make sure that's the right advice for you. How do I know if a math major is for me? Well, I really wish I could have kept on pursuing my math degree. I wish I could have got a master's in it. And I don't think I would have gone for a PhD, but I wanted to keep on pursuing it. And same thing, like I stood with teaching. I always said I was going to remain a teacher as long as it was enjoyable for me to continue doing it, as long as I wanted to wake up and still show up to class. And I was motivated for that. And I think with, pursuing, if math is, something for you, like, I would just keep on taking math courses until, and if you feel more energized and like, yeah, I want to keep on pursuing this, go for it. Right. Math opens up a lot of doors for a lot of different occupations and a lot of things that you can do. So it is a very general degree that you can use in a lot of different ways. Right. And doesn't necessarily mean you have to be doing mathematics, but if you have that foundation and you have that, what am I thinking? That training basically of mathematics, there's just a lot of opportunities for you. So, I would say it's definitely something to consider, and as long as you're still enjoying it and you still have that itch to keep on pursuing it, I would just let that go till it runs out. Well, awesome, Miku. Happy to help you out. Go ahead and shoot it at brianmclogan.com/Q&A, and we'll go ahead and take a look. I am. We did not have it at our school, but I'm familiar with it for sure. I don't know if I would say Algebra 2 is easier for people with like visualizing shapes and numbers. It's just, it's so personalized, and I do agree that some people, Algebra 2 can just be like the death sentence, and sometimes Algebra 2 is very easy for people, but I wouldn't know how to characterize with people with better numbers and visualizing shapes. I guess a lot of times people are better at geometry than they would say more algebra concepts, if that's what you're referring to. But I don't think that's an absolute. Well, very hard way to answer because there's a lot of variables there. But I would say typically for a math test, I would recommend students start studying at least, 3 to 4 weeks prior from on there, and, really focusing on anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, every other day of just really reviewing, going over your test, going over your homework, going over all of those concepts and preparing for your test. So, however many that's going to be for 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to be from there. Okay. Well, I guess what? So my wife is now pushing me off for me being able to go back to dinner. So I told you these Sunday live streams are very difficult for me to do. I'm not going to be able to get to your questions. I'm not going to be able to get to the math questions. I do apologize. So I am going to try to hit through these questions. I'll talk for 4 more minutes from you guys. And then unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop the stream because this Sunday is just another day with my kids. All right. I would have to go back and look at Boolean algebra. It's been a while. All right. For normal Roberts Cantor, set theory is pure madness and makes mathematics completely disconnected from physical reality. He says, for example, infinite sets do not exist. Historically, mathematicians have been careful to avoid treating infinite sets after Cantor and position change dramatically, but really infinite sets is just that talk, not mathematics. Okay, so I don't really have a strong opinion on this, to be honest with you. I'll talk in a general sense. I mean, a lot of pure mathematics is obviously not going to be applicable to our real life situations, but that is where a lot of our study and our investigation into pure mathematics is where we get a lot of our applied mathematics, from on there. So I don't have a problem with continuously like stretching the bar with pure mathematics and seeing what results, come up from that. I mean, I'm much more of a pure mathematics fan than a applied mathematics fan, but it's disconnected from reality. I think that I don't have a problem, with from on there. I think, I don't know. I don't have a very much strong opinion. I have to probably watch, his video, or a little bit longer, a little bit more on his to be able to take a take, plus or minus from there. Cause I'm sure he probably makes some good points that I'd probably agree with, but, I don't have too much of a say, from at least what you, pointed there. And Jerome, can you give me some tips on how to get word problems? Since I'm not good at them, there are no specific word problems I need help with, just in general. They're tough. They take practice. There's really nothing else I can do to kind of sugarcoat that. They take practice. Do as many word problems as you possibly can. Do word problems where you have the answer to, okay? And practice going through them. Cover up the answer, cover up your work, and work through them in that regard. I think that's just the important thing to be able to understand. Like, it's just there's a lot of patterns that you're going to see and recognize through doing word problems that the more and more you do, the easier and easier they're going to become. So practice. That's the best advice I can give you. What's a bad grade where I should start worrying about this subject? I would think anything lower than a D, but anything I think above a C, you should be okay and fine. Hi, I saw your video, how to get ready for pre-calc in one day. And I was wondering if you did one for calculus. I'm doing calc next year. I did not, but I need to. So thank you for letting me know about that. I know I have some work I got to do, so I will get to work on that. Awesome. I will go ahead and take a look at it. Unfortunately, I can't go ahead and do that right now, but I will be getting at it. All right. What habits can I start doing? Do math skills every day. The more you can do them, the better. And I'm good at teaching others, but I myself always get poor grades. What should I do? Just keep working at it. It's okay. Grades only are only, they don't tell the whole story, right? So a lot of times you just need to probably, work on how you are being able to show what you understand. And sometimes that takes a while. Sometimes that's a little bit delayed and you understand it better. And then but previously when you took your test, you weren't able to convey that. So just keep working at it. Okay. That's the best I can, give you on but a grade does not define what you understand or what you're capable of. Understand that. Go ahead and submit it at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. I'll be happy to take a look. How do graphs on which method to answer a specific problem? I need a little bit more context on that. What was one of the major keys you wanted students to grasp while taking your class? Sorry, I got to go. That's a great question. I want to answer it, but if you can hopefully next week, I will be back on live again or submit it at brianmclogan.com/Q&A and I'll do my best to answer it. Here, you got this. Practice all the AP exams. You got this. There's tons of them online. Practice, 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 practice. Best of luck. You got this. All right. I got a video. Do pre-calculus in one day. That was one thing. Hopefully that can help you guys out. All right, guys. Hey, Alaska. Good to have you on. All right, guys. I have to go and get dinner. Sorry for a little shorter stream, but next time I'll try to make sure I can do a longer one and also do some math problems. All right, guys. I got to go. Cheers.